Hello, welcome back to the Cricket Nerds. Me and Benji talking about the second semi-final of the Cricket World Cup 2023. And what we thought would happen kind of happened. South Africa bottled it in the semi-final. It is absolute heartbreak for South Africa. Elation for Australia, who they're never down and out as a team. They started off looking so shaky in this tournament. They fought back and now they're in the final. Consolation for South Africa is that realistically, this was like a second place playoff anyway. Like, you know, the most you can get is runner-up in this World Cup because India are going to win. So, you know, there is an element of consolation there. But not a whole lot. It was a really, really, really good game. It was an absolute thriller. And there were so many moments where it could have swung either way. So it was... What did you think about, in particular, the start that South Africa had, but just your overall kind of emotions towards the game?
Look, it was it was a low scoring thriller. Like at any point, any side could have been in the driving seat, and it's kind of been what we've been wanting this whole World Cup was a thrilling match to get through. There've been too many matches, I think, that have been overly one-sided, and this had lots of twists and turns. If you hadn't caught it, Australia got off to a fantastic start and at one point had South Africa 24 for 4 after the first 12 overs. So it was a fantastic opening spell from Stark and Hazelwood, who, I mean, Mitchell Stark has found his form at the exact right time in this tournament. He started off a bit shaky, but has just been fantastic. And then Hazelwood aptly backed him up there as well. And yeah, what we've been seeing from South Africa getting off to a strong start with their strong top four just didn't happen in this match. And it took a really good partnership from Heinrich Klaasen and David Miller to get them back into this game. South Africa managed to crawl to a total of 212, which at one point it looked like they were going to capitulate and get bowled out for 80 odd or something at one point. I do want to touch on Marco Jansen, who's had better days. I'm sorry to say it, James, but Marco Jansen got a first ball duck, and I've seen him bowl better today.
It was not a great performance, and especially because in the fantasy, like in our fantasy league, I had Marco Jansen as my captain, so that means whatever points he gets are doubled. And I also played double captain, the wild card, on top of that. So I'm pretty sure he's got me like minus many negative points here.
Well, yeah, because I think he ended up with negative points, so that would have been minus lots of negatives.
So that's a rough one, and you're right, it was a rough one. Just for him in general, it was an outstanding knock from David Miller to get South Africa up to a fighting total. Travis Head, I think, was without a doubt the man of the match of
with
this
the ball
game
as well.
He made such a huge breakthrough getting Heinrich Klaasen out, because, to be honest, it didn't look like that good a ball that got him out. I thought the ball that got Marco Jansen out was a really good one. Like that turned a mile. And it was a good day for finger spin today. But yeah, it was. He made the big breakthrough that, you know, realistically, if Klaasen could have carried on with Miller for another, 4 or 5 overs, I think South Africa would have got to a winning total of about 250, 260, and instantly it's a completely different game. And we might not have seen Australia be quite as as forthright in their run chase the way they started it, because
for sure,
once again they went out all guns blazing. Travis Head with a very well made 62, especially under the context, and David Warner was just brutal. He was absolutely smashing it around. But again, finger spin, taking the big wickets. Maharaj took the wicket of Travis Head. Aidan Markram was the first one to get the breakthrough with David Warner. And one interesting thing was, I think Maharaj got like the most turn that anybody's got this World Cup. And he's left arm orthodox. Usually you'd expect to see that from a leg spinner or a left arm unorthodox bowler, but it was the finger spin that managed to get the most turn, and he was given a right rip. He looked absolutely deadly.
Yeah, it was a rare bad day for Adam Zampa. As you said, spin was really important in today's game, and Zampa, who's been Australia's standout all tournament, really struggled today. And if it wasn't for the seamers of Australia really standing up to today and being counted, there could have been some, real problems for Australia today. I was particularly impressed, actually, as you say, with Maxwell and Travis Head, because I think their 15 overs really got them back into it. It was a really vital point of the game. Like, Glenn Maxwell was able to bowl very economically and was at least able to keep that scoring rate down. And he made it hard for the South Africans to be able to pull that total together. And I think you're spot on. Had they carried on for a bit and, got another 20, 30 runs, I think that total would have just become a little bit too much. I have to say, on the side of Australia, the two wickets of Warner and Head, both was a first ball of a new spell, and both of them just played terrible shots to get out. I can understand it because they're trying to go, all guns blazing to knock the total off and put pressure on the South Africans as much as possible. But I mean, they didn't even bother having a look; they just went for it, and it was it was quite funny. But I think the thing that really highlighted the bit that was missing today for South Africa was Lungi Ngidi. I think he's been such a vital part of their bowling attack through this World Cup. And the fact that he was missing, it meant that when Marco Jansen, was having far from his best game, and during the power play, he'd been absolutely smoked at all points by David Warner. Ngidi wasn't there to be called on by Temba Bavuma to be able to offer that. Coates isn't a new ball bowler. We've seen that he works better through the middle overs as sort of that hard overs bowler. So because he was playing rather than Lungi Ngidi, it meant that it meant that Temba Bavuma turned to Aidan Markram instead, and actually it was a really good payoff because he bowled really well. I think Markram's first spell really almost pulled it back towards us, South Africa a bit. I think it was getting a little bit out of hand, and when he picked up those wickets, it sort of swung it slightly back in the direction of South Africa. But in the end, the Australians managed to do enough. Smith and Labuschagne during the middle managed to string a bit of a partnership together, and I think that just allowed them to crack on.
I think before we move on to kind of a little bit of a preview on the final, which we already kind of know what we're going to say, I just want to have a final touch on South Africa, because there are things that it can take away to be positive. I think your point about Ngidi is interesting, because when I look at that side, the only person that I could think to take out for Ngidi is Jansen, and Jansen offers more batting as well, because I thought Coates was amazing in those middle overs. He was getting so much pace. He was bowling about 150 clicks. His Yorker to get Inglis out was brilliant. He's such a bright spark for South Africa to carry on his future. He's only 23, so he's guaranteed himself a big old IPL deal, I reckon. And he's South Africa just keep producing really good young fast bowlers. Like this entire side really, they can carry on going. It's and yeah, but before we finish on South Africa, I just want to say, it's obviously a shame that Quinton de Kock ended his international career with 3 off 14, but that's it now. He's retired. So it's quite a big shame that he's gone. And I think South Africa are going to miss him, because it almost feels like a wasted opportunity of a really talented batter who has retired young in pretty much every format. He retired from tests quite a while ago, and he had a lot of potential there. And then he's retired from international cricket now. So there we go. Let's preview the final then. Just how much do you think India is going to win by? Like, do you genuinely think that Australia have a chance? Because they've obviously got the grit, and they've made it to the final so many times. What is this, their 8th final now or something? Do you think they have a good chance?
See, I just don't want them to win. Like, I just never want the Aussies to win. I don't know. The thing is, it's Australia. They are the most successful team in World Cup history. They do these things where they come from nowhere and win. Like, they've gone on a not quite the same level as India, where India are on a 10-game winning streak, but Australia have gone on a 7-game winning streak to get themselves 7-game winning streak to get themselves into the final. This team, look, we know this team's talented, and they've definitely now found their groove. The thing with Australia is every time they've won, they've had to almost manufacture a win. And what I mean by that is that one player has had to have an outstanding game for them to be able to win. Like, really, it's been Adam Zampri's doing the bulk of the magic with the ball. And then I think all of the batters, certainly if we look at Head, Warner, Marsh and Maxwell, have put in a shift and have put in a big performance in order to get a win for Australia at some point during the World Cup. The difference between them and India is India have looked great from 1 to 11 rather than pretty much every game, rather than just one player standing up every now and again.
That's a really good point.
And I think that's the main difference between the two of them.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point in that Australia tend to have, like, most of their side tends to do a little bit average, and then one player has done amazingly. India everybody has performed to a very high standard, and you kind of get the odd player that just doesn't quite perform in a game. It was Shreyas Iyer a little while ago. I know that Shami had the odd bad game, but then they come back and score amazing centuries and 7-fers. And so it's I'd say the smart money is on India winning, but never discount Australia. This is knockout cricket. It's this is it. It's one game, and the pressure could not be higher on India right now.
Yeah, for sure. That's
everybody's expecting them to win. They're expecting themselves to win. This is a fallible Australia side, but it's still an Australia side. So they are never to be discounted. And I know that we're both really excited to see it. Stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe. We will be obviously reacting to the final, and there's so much more cricket content that we put out. So if you haven't already, do tell your friends about us. Do subscribe. Give us a like. You can also join our membership if you really want to support our channel. That helps, far and away the most. So the link is in the description down below. Thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll see you later. Goodbye.